what we will touch upon will be refreshing anyhow, and here and there you may find some points which are profound and can help you in advanced contemplation. So the topic, as everyone knows, is the great statements from the Upanishads. What is a great statement? First of all, in common parlance, suppose somebody says Mount Everest is the highest peak on the earth. Can that be a great statement? It is not great from the Vedanta Paribhasha, the technical language from Vedanta. To talk about some glory, to talk about some greatness of some place, some object, some person, etc. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying that to say Lord Vishnu is supreme, Lord Shiva is great, Devi Lalitambika is all-powerful. That also technically is not a mahā-vākya. So what qualifies a Vakya statement to be regarded as a mahā-vākya, great statement? Let us clarify on that first. In this context, a great statement is a sentence which indicates the oneness of Ishvara and Jiva. That is the definition in the Advaita Vedanta. That which shows the Advaita, which shows the non-duality. Jiva Ishvara Aikyam, or sometimes we say Jiva Brahma Aikyam. Aikyam means oneness. These statements, which are in hundreds, if not in thousands, in the Upanishads, have directly or indirectly the meaning, the implication of one truth expressing as the ruler, Ishvara, and as the ruled, Jiva. The one who controls everything and the one who apparently is controlled. Upon further inquiry, upon proper contemplation on the truths of the Upanishads, are found to be one truth only. As long as there is ego, which is an illusion, the ego is a construction of thought, construction of memories. The ego is built of certain erroneous perceptions. As long as these erroneous perceptions rule the roost, this business of non-duality appears impossible. How can we, the little individuals with very limited strength, with very limited knowledge, ever be anywhere close to Ishvara, who is all-powerful, all-knowing? How can the Alpajna be one with Sarvajna? How can the Alpa-Shakta be one with Sarva-Shakta? No wonder, therefore, that in other schools of thought like Dvaita, this oneness is not accepted. However, in the Advaita Vedanta, it is clarified that this being limited and being unlimited are all true on a certain plane, but there does exist another plane where you and I can go. On that higher plane of realization, we do not remain what we today perceive ourselves to be. If we actually are this body and mind, if you and I are actually and forever this stula sharira, sukshma sharira, karana sharira, etc. put together, gross body, subtle body, causal body, or as it is said elsewhere, if we are indeed a combination of the five sheaths, annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha, we are these, period. We are these, full stop. There is nothing more to us. Then the non-duality is impossible. But the Advaita Vedanta's revelation or conclusion is the present perception, the present understanding that we have about who we are is not the truth. It is possible for us to transcend through right seeing, not through any technique, not through any method, not through some process. There is no becoming Brahman. Jiva does not become Brahman. Because if it becomes Brahman, then it may fall back into Jivatva. There is a lot of logic against it. It is just dismissal of an erroneous perception and to realize that where we are and we will be Brahman only. So without going into the rationale behind the Advaita outlook, let us once more say, any statement anywhere in any Upanishad of any Veda that points out the oneness of all that exists, including the ruler, Ishvara, and the one who is ruled, Jiva, those statements are mahā-vākyas. There are countless mahā-vākyas. However, four among them have been very well known, popular, much quoted, much talked about, much discussed. Books have been written on some of them. Entire book. For example, Vakya Vritti is a book of some 55 shlokas, which elaborates on just one mahā-vākya, namely tat-tvam-asi. Now, with that definition presented, we will take up the four mahā-vākyas. As I said in the beginning, this webinar can be an introduction to this topic, which has vast significance if we dig deeper. We can probably take up one mahā-vākya each in a webinar in future. But this one is just to introduce the four in a general way. There is no particular sequence really in which the four have to be presented. However, in one somewhat dramatized version, which could be the work of somebody with some imagination, it is said, take up prajnānam brahma. Brahma is the word that points out the supreme truth. One notch below Brahma, the supreme truth which pervades everything, is that Brahma itself appearing as Ishvara, where duality appears. On the top notch, there is no duality. one notch below, Ishvara, the ruler, and Jiva, who are countless, the ruled, and then Jagat, the stage upon which the whole show takes place. All of them come in one notch below. So Brahma is that supreme truth which is in everybody, which is in everything, which is all powerful, all knowing, and so on and so forth. Brahma is the absolute reality. This statement, prajnānam Brahma, from Aitareya Upanishad of the Rig-Veda, directly says pure awareness is Brahma, or Brahma is pure awareness. So at first sight, we may wonder, where is it talking about non-duality? Well, indirectly it does, because who among us can ever say we are insentient, we have no awareness? Every one of us knows I exist and I am aware. So I am aware is my being prajnānam. Even a little ant crawling on the ground is prajnānam. A huge elephant, yaksha, kinnara, gandharva, deva, danava, you name it, all are conscious living beings. And you and I thus have prajnāna. So this prajnāna itself is Brahma. And the problem presently is we mistake ourselves to be the body and the mind. In fact, many people begin with no idea about any consciousness or awareness or chaitanya being in them. Slowly they, after studying a few classes, realize, oh yeah, I am this body and in my body there is awareness. Only when they further advance, a point will come when the students realize, oh my God, it's not very proper to say there is Chaitanya in my body. More proper would be, I am Chaitanya who happens to have a body. As a Western thinker also said, it is not right to say we are humans going through a spiritual experience. We are rather spiritual entities presently passing through a human experience. What is primary? What is secondary? Advanced Vedanta would say, being pure consciousness, prajnānam is primary. Body or no body, we are Chaitanya. But this takes time for a student to come to terms with. So because every one of us is prajnāna, pure awareness, here is statement prajnānam Brahma. This pure awareness itself is that supreme absolute reality, Brahma, without a second. So in the dramatized version, there is a student who is first told prajnānam Brahma, and then he wonders, oh, really? And what on the earth is this prajnānam? Then comes the second mahā-vākya, ayam ātmā brahma. Ayam is a pronoun referring to something close, something very near. And nothing is nearer to us than our own existence. A distant mountain cannot be called ayam parvata. You say saha parvata. So yeshaha, ayam or idam, these are the words referring to something very close. If I am having a book in my hand, then I can say ayam grantha. This right in my hand, right in front of me. And the closest that is applicable to the pronoun ayam is my own existence. To make it further clear, ayam ātmā, the self in me, is Brahma. This statement more explicitly conveys the oneness between what every one of us is and that supreme truth, Brahman. I must hasten to add this dramatized version of presenting four mahā-vākyas, where a student first picks up prajnānam brahma, then is not all that clear, then gets greater clarity with ayam ātmā brahma, then gets even more clarity with tat-tvam-asi, and then in aham brahmāsmi explodes into realization, has a certain flaw in it. The dramatization will definitely appeal to beginners. They like it the way it is put by teachers. The flaw is that dramatized version where the four statements are in a progression can mislead anyone to think that prajnānam brahma by itself is inadequate as though, which is not true. Each of these four mahā-vākyas is adequate. Somebody reflects on prajnānam brahma with teacher's guidance, with his or her own yukti, logic, accompanied by necessary upasanas, so that the mind is full of viveka and vairagya, then prajnānam brahma itself can bring about realization. For advanced students here in this gathering, let me tell you, the traditional Advaita Vedanta makes a claim which is very difficult for many to, accept. But that is what the Advaita Vedanta says. What is it? A mahā-vākya, upon being rightly understood, instantly liberates you. Right understanding of a great statement is complete in itself to bless you with Jivan Mukti. In Māndukya Upanishad and many other places too, in his commentary, Adi Shankara makes a very mind-boggling statement. He says the uniqueness of Brahmajnana is Vakyartha Jnana Samakale Eva Siddhyati. Vakyartha Jnana, the right understanding of the meaning of the statement. Samakale, at that moment itself. Shankara had to really win many battles with karma kandis. As you know, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and many acharyas came later. Shankaracharya did not get into arguments with the Dvaita or Vishishtadvaita as presented by later acharyas. During his time, even Buddhists had already somehow become a minority. Buddhists also were not in much number. If there were people in large number claiming to be Vedic scholars but talking about a different outlook, at Shankaracharya's time, that was karmis, karmakandis, who believed do yajna, yaga, homa, havana, agnihotra, this, that. Today you and I are not much familiar with those orthodox mutts like Sringeri or Kanchi, Udupi, or there are so many mutts and traditions. 200, 300, 500, 1,000 years old mutts exist in India. They are still keeping so many rituals, and that is good in its own way. But many of us with a different educational background don't know karma so much. But one distinct feature of karma is karma upon being performed, typically gives its results at a later point of time. But what is more, karma, in order to give results, has to be performed by just understanding how Agnihotra is done or to be done. You don't get the results. Just as by understanding how we may make a dosa, we don't get dosa in front of us, our hunger will not be satiated. You understand how to make it, then procure the material, make it, and eat it. Then you say, my hunger is gone. Shankara, seriously talking about Vaidika karma, and with all due respect to Vaidika karma for what they are, says, as regards liberation, karma cannot bless you with liberation. And liberation comes to you when you rightly understand a mahā-vākya, and the unbelievable uniqueness is Vakya Artha Samakale, Vakyartha Jnana Samakale. So this applies to the four statements which I am presenting in this webinar. If you and I understand rightly. So you may say a lot of Vedanta teachers are teaching these mahā-vākyas as you are also doing now in this webinar. How come you hardly find anyone enlightened? We are all, like the driver who is pressing the gas pedal or the accelerator and at the same time pressing the brakes also with a high force. We are like that. We live in contradictions. Our mind is not yet so pure to let go of the worldly attractions, just as that immature and, shall I say, funny driver is pressing the accelerator also and brakes also. What does he want? Wants to go fast or wants to stop? He seems to be confused. Like that, you and I might be so much into Vedanta in one sense, but sometimes explicitly the whole town knows, or sometimes unknown to them, sometimes not very much clearly known to ourselves also. There are certain longings, certain regrets, certain anxieties. That is like putting the brakes. Therefore, continued study, and therefore I said, accompanied by upasanas. Do satkarma, do upasana, pray, meditate. They are not the direct cause for right understanding, but they eliminate a number of obstacles. You and I, therefore, have to work on ourselves. Like a mirror has to be cleaned, the surface has to be cleaned, no dust should be on the mirror. Then the same mirror, which earlier was not reflecting our face properly, shows our face so clearly when the dust is removed. Likewise, the same mahā-vākya, many of us may be studying, some of us may be teaching, all that is good, but a certain higher degree of chitta shuddhi, especially viveka and vairagya. In fact, I may conclude this diversion saying, many of us who, let us say, have been into Vedanta for many decades, were to sit down and introspect, look back, we find that exactly in those four areas which Vedanta works discuss, Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampat, Mumukshutva. In those four areas, we have been weak. There are numerous instances in the life of ours, whether it was dealing with money or people or other relationships or Simple things like getting up in the morning, or simple things like food and sleep and so on, we realize that our viveka, seeing what is true, what is false, and to go for true, to see what is real and unreal, and then to go for the real, has not been all that strong. Okay, so prajnānam Brahma is complete in itself. But let me come back to this dramatized version, which is, part of teaching methods. In teaching any subject, sometimes certain methods are employed and later some clarifications are made. So the method here is, imagine a student who hears prajnānam Brahma and then wonders what it means. Ayam ātmā brahma. The teacher clarifies, by prajnānam I mean the self in you. Whenever you say I, it refers to a certain deepest being, existence in you, I. You may be wearing a red shirt one day and touching your chest, touching that red shirt, you may say, I have come. This I has not much to do with the red shirt. Another day you wear a white shirt and again touch the chest. So if anybody misunderstood that the red shirt was your self, he is mistaken. Likewise, this body is not the self. The self, the pure self, is where I, without any frills or associations, shines in us. So he goes to the second teacher, or the same teacher, he goes to another class. In the second class, it is said, ayam ātmā brahma. Now, in this dramatized version, like a drama, the student scratches his head and again says, you mean this awareness? You mean this I? Are you serious, dear teacher? The teacher says now most explicitly, tat-tvam-asi. Tvam, you, I mean you. You are tat-asi. You are that. So, ayam ātmā brahma, the second one presented, is from Māndukya Upanishad of Atharva-veda, where Om, right at the beginning of the Upanishad, Om is said to be everything. Om is the past, Om is the present, Om is the future. Sarvam Omkaraha eva. And then it is said, ayam ātmā brahma. This ātmā is Brahman. The third one is tat-tvam-asi, comes from Sāma Veda, which is the Upanishad, they are giving that mantra, is Chāndogya Upanishad. So these four are from four different Vedas, as we can see. Prajnānam Brahma from Rig-Veda, ayam ātmā Brahma from Atharva-veda or Atharvana-veda, both are the same. Then tat-tvam-asi is from Sāma Veda and aham brahmāsmi is from Yajur-Veda. That is Brihadāranyaka Upanishad of Yajur-Veda. So tat-tvam-asi makes the student realize, oh, now there is no confusion anymore. The teacher is telling me you. When the teacher says you, for the student, it is no other than I. I am Brahman. Though I do not experience myself in that way now, let me inquire, let me contemplate. To refer to that statement, that technically, the moment you understand the mahā-vākya, with no further delay, not even a microsecond or nanosecond delay, you get enlightened, is the astounding statement by Bhashyakara, not just at one or two places, 100 places. That is how Adi Shankara, to say once more, was never tired of saying karma and jnana are totally different. The way karma operates, the way karma gives you certain results and benefits, and karma helps you, etc., is all fine. It's on a certain level where plurality, duality, where time, space, causation, all of them remain valid. Whereas jnana for him, not just bookish knowledge of words or concepts, but that right seeing, samyak darshana. That jnana, on one hand, is complete in itself. It doesn't need any other accessory to bless you with moksha. It does it instantly. And what is more, you and I are so used to looking at time as an unquestionable reality. The axis of time in our mind is unquestionably true. Anything may come and go, but time remains, is our understanding, which is misunderstanding. Vedanta says time is part of that superimposition, that illusion, that appearance. Brahma is untouched by time. Therefore, when it is said without any delay, instantly, though the word instantly is used as though it is a matter of time, one instant. That's all limitation of the language. When jnana takes place, time itself vanishes. The duality between the knower and the known vanishes. Plurality vanishes. When that understanding takes place, which is one with moksha, causation also is a closed chapter. As Vivekananda said in one of his talks in 1893, 94, etc., when he was traveling in the United States, this entire phenomenal universe is marked by three factors: space, time, and causation. It took probably another 30, 40 years for Einstein to come and shake the idea in physics, the idea that time is absolutely true. He came to the point, time is relatively true, space also is relative, etc. So the Vedantins had said this. Vivekananda was much before Einstein, as we know. He said space, desha, time, kala, and karya-karana bhava, that is causation. These three are seen everywhere in the world, in the universe. Go to the moon, go to Venus, go to Mars, go anywhere. In this phenomenal universe, there is spread of space, spread of time, and there is causation. A is the cause, B is the effect. B could be the cause for some C, which is the effect. But there is a perception, there is a seeing, there is a new way of understanding all that is, where time, space, and causation vanish. So coming back to the statements now, we have tat-tvam-asi. In the Sāma-veda, the Rishi's name appears with regard to this mahā-vākya. In prajnānam Brahma, we don't know which Rishi said it. Though Aitareya Upanishad has a certain Rishi called Aitareya, son of Itara, to him these mantras were revealed. Whether he himself was the instructor there, it's not clear. And Māndukya Upanishad, again, we don't know who the Rishis were. But in Sāma-veda's Chāndogya Upanishad, chapter 6, Rishi Uddalaka is the teacher, Shvetaketu is the student, and the Rishi says to the student, the Shishya, for example, giving the illustration of a tiny banyan seed growing to become a huge banyan tree, Rishi Uddalaka says, "Look, my dear son, the vast, huge banyan tree is contained in that tiny seed. Likewise, this entire universe has a certain essence. The word used is anima. Anu means subtle. Anima is an abstract noun, the subtlety. There is a certain subtlety in this universe which we generally miss. Proper Vedanta study helps us take cognizance of the subtlety. Saesha anima, says Uddalaka. And that anima, that subtle essence itself is everything. He says Sat Eva. That chapter is called Sadvidya. Sat Eva Somya Idamagra Asit. Ekam Advitiyam. Certain pointers in support of the Advaita outlook are seen there. Ekam Advitiyam. There is nothing second to it. Sat Eva, Sat alone, and so on. So, tat-tvam-asi is a very powerful statement. You are that. So, in that example of banyan tree, then another example of rivers merging in the ocean, in yet another example of honey bees bringing honey and putting them all together. They bring the rasa from various flowers, various plants, but all of them come together. Likewise, in this phenomenal universe, some are human beings, some are animals, some are plants, some are birds. Among us human beings also, we have so much of diversity, so much of differences. Uddalaka would mean these are all on a certain plane, on a deeper plane, on a deeper level, we are all one. And 9 times, not once or twice, thrice or 4 times, 9 times, giving different illustrations every time. Uddalaka concludes his thought development with the statement, tat-tvam-asi. You are that essence. So that is a mahā-vākya. Then in the Brihadāranyaka Upanishad, right in the first chapter, in Upanishads, very often they talk about chapter, adhyaya, and then instead of khanda, which means section, the word brahmana is used. Therefore, in the fourth brahmana of the first chapter, in the 10th mantra, the word or the expression, the mahā-vākya, aham brahmāsmi comes. Brahma va idamagra asit, tad ātmānam avet. Brahma alone was, and Brahma knew itself, and Brahma as though said to itself, aham Brahma, I am Brahma. And down the road, in that very 10th mantra, it is said that whoever knows likewise, whoever among us now, we are in the domain of plurality. You and I find ourselves in the domain of, in the framework of plurality. Plurality means there are many. We find parents, we find siblings, we find neighbors, we find teachers, we find so much variety, so much diversity. But amidst all that, thanks to spiritual study and contemplation, whoever mantra says, whoever realizes, there is this expression, ya evam veda aham brahmāsmi iti, sa idam sarvam bhavati. Whoever among the students Veda knows aham brahmāsmi iti. So the sentence aham brahmāsmi comes twice in that 10th mantra. The second occurrence is a realization of the student. In the dramatization of the four Vakyas, upon hearing the third mahā-vākya tat-tvam-asi, the student goes to a corner, contemplates upon it, and the last traces of doubt in him vanish. Then he, as though, exclaims, aham brahmāsmi. Ah, I am indeed Brahman. This is a dramatized version. Otherwise, let me say just once more, one could start with any of them. One could go all the way up to realization with one mantra. To understand that mantra very well, other scriptural portions are generally required. If somebody is very advanced, we call it purva sanskara. In his or her past lives, he or she had already come a long way. And therefore, in this life, without any puja or japa, without any karma or upasana, without any paropakara, seva or other things, without yajna, dana, tapaha, etc., one in a million could listen to a mahā-vākya, understand, oh yes, of course, and his or her individuality vanishes, melts away. Thus it is that we talk about mahā-vākyas and especially the four great statements of the four Upanishads, one found in each Veda, Rig-Veda, Yajur-Veda, Sāma-Veda and Atharva-veda. And for you and me, who don't have that richness of Purva Sanskaras, it's a bit of an arduous task. We need to study, we need to listen, we need to work on our own viveka, vairagya. We need to learn from the faults we have committed in this life also. We need to spend a new day with greater care, with greater commitment to healthy practices, without missing whatever healthy niyamas, We make some niyamas for ourselves. Then the mind becomes more receptive. The mind becomes receptive, becomes attentive and gets it. Then nothing more is necessary. Then a person may continue to do virtuous things, but there's no more a necessity for him or her. He anyhow serves people, he anyhow is good, he may even do puja. You find videos on the YouTube, Nisargadatta Maharaj, who is widely regarded as somebody who was enlightened. Every day as visitors are coming slowly, he is putting agarbatti before so many gods, Hanuman and Rama, Krishna and so on. Then sits down and shares his extraordinary wisdom with people. Right? So in spite of his enlightenment, he was continuing with this, some little rituals, not much. The Shankaracharyas of Sringeri and others sit 2 or 3 hours. So are the acharyas in many other ashrams. So they may do social service also. But those who are close to them would see a difference. They don't do social service to arrive at purity of mind. In their case, whatever had to be done is done. They are kritakrityas. But that doesn't prevent them from doing social service or puja, japa, karma, homa, havana, giving lectures, not as a sadhana, but as an expression of their love, expression of their relationship with the world, knowing well that they are not different from the world is not different from them. There is only oneness. So it's a mind-boggling scenario. Let me pause here and welcome questions or comments. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Swamiji, there is one question in chat box right now.
Okay. In the chat box, I am seeing the chat box here.
Dr. Raju Pai has written.
Acha. Yes, correct. Are awareness and existence both dharma or nature of Brahman? Yes, in the Upadesha Sara of Sri Ramana Maharshi, this is answered in a very effective way, though it's of course answered at many other places in the Shastras. Sat and Chit, existence and awareness, are the Swarupa Lakshana. Dharma also is a good word. Otherwise, the word used is Swarupa Lakshana. They are the characteristics inherent and so essential to Brahma. And then the verse which I am referring to in Upadesha Sara of Ramana says they are not two at all. Sadeva Chit, Chideva Sat. They are inseparable. They cannot be conceived as having any distance between them. That is, we can't say to say they are two sides of the same kind of coin also will be a concession in language. Sat itself is Chit, Chit itself is Sat. In this way, statement is made. They are the dharma, they are the nature of Brahman. Sattva-bhasika chitkva vetara sattaya hi chit chittaya hi aham. There is a shloka, probably 23 or so, in Upadesha Sara. They are the dharma, they are the Swarupa Lakshana. They never leave Brahma. Rest of it is expression and withdrawal of expressions. Brahma as Ishvara creates, sustains, then dissolves. Jivas come from Brahma, Jivas go back to Brahma. These are all secondary. But Sat and Chit are primary essence, dharma of Brahma. Is there any other question in the chat box? Probably not.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
It was wonderful listening to you. We have heard of the mahā-vākyas, but the way you brought it out, it was superb. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivkumar.
Swamiji, I have one question.
Yes, Chandrasekhar.
Pranam.
Namaste.
This, when we say aham brahmāsmi, we easily get into confusion with our ego. That ego is, or many times we say aham, uska bahut zyada hai. Aham.
Yeah.
This is a trap where we fall and we cannot realize.
Yeah.
How to overcome this?
Yes. So I brought this in the lecture also. You and I, both students and teachers, may be into Vedanta for a good length of time, but the so-called enlightenment doesn't come about. So I meant this ego problem. Sometimes our ego increases after studying Vedanta. Very sad. Therefore, I already acknowledged, we do need to do karma, we need to do upasana, we need to learn to sit quietly for a little while, rather than being overactive, always talking, always writing, always lecturing, or always waiting for somebody to come and ask our advice. If nobody comes to us for advice, we feel lost and lonely and lost, miserable. These are terrible things. One must introspect. How come, is this knowledge for some show off, etc. So the simple things, but you are right, we lose sight of it. So karma and upasana are the answers. When you find that Vedanta hasn't taken you anywhere, then definitely, like somebody once gave an example, the tank is full of water, but you are not getting water when you open the tap. Then the pipe has some blockage. Remove the blockage in the pipe, then the same tap, upon being opened, gives water at high speed or with great force. So if you and I can do a little of karma, chant Vishnu Sahasranama, sit down and do some Om Namah Shivaya japa, and begin with the people at your own family, serve them, be a little more kind, understanding, then you find the mind becomes receptive. So to come to the crux of your question, this ego, a major step in that matter is our realizing we have been very egoistic. Generally, when we are riding the high wave of ego, we do not realize we are being egoistic. We think we are advising this man, I scolded that man for his good. I don't have anything to take from it. It is for her good that I gave her a piece of my mind, etc. We justify. Somewhere when we realize that our behavior has really been obnoxious, some tears come down our cheeks at reflecting on the way we behaved. We hurt somebody, we put somebody's life in such jeopardy. We realize, oh my, because of my insensitive behavior, that man's, this lady's, those people's life went for a tailspin. I wish I could go back and set it right, but now it's too late. We regret. Then certain change can take place, not just by realizing that, but then we do some japa tapa. We seek God's forgiveness. We might have hurt somebody 5 years ago, and now he is somewhere and we are somewhere else. But nothing prevents us from praying God, that man who suffered at my hands is far away, 5,000 miles away. I'm not in a position to do anything for him, but I pray to you. Please bless him with peace, with happiness. My happiness can come a little later. That man to whom I was so unkind in 2017, 2018, may he be happy. We believe that such prayers really work. In addition to whether they work or not for him who is somewhere in Russia or in England, making such prayer makes us mellowed down, makes us receptive. That's where karma, puja is a karma, prayer is a karma, japa is a karma, vāṅmaya karma, vāchika karma, kāyika karma, manasa karma, like that, they're all karmas in essence. Please, next one may ask.
Swamiji, Harivam Swamiji Subramanian.
Yes.
So on a practical level, for an ordinary person, so the starting point is purification of the mind, and training of the mind is the starting point on a daily basis through daily reflections. That's what I understand. Maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah. So daily reflections, daily meditation, and acts of service on a daily basis, as they call it, random acts of kindness, and so on. Keeping our word. If we realize we are delaying our responses to the needy, we must try to reduce the delay. So in various ways, we must increase the goodness in us. That is the way. Then Vedanta will percolate in us. Vedanta becomes our own intimate experience. You said it quite well. Daily study, daily reading, daily reflection. But someone may misunderstand what you said to be just intellectual. Therefore, we add the dimensions. vachika and kayika. In speech, how we speak to others, how we talk to people above us, below us, our companions, colleagues, and kayika, what we do. So by thought, word, and deed, if we can be more righteous, more virtuous, dharmic, that will be great preparation. All right.
Swamiji, Vangmaya karma means what?
Vangmaya, vachika, both are same. Vak means speech.
Oh, thank you.
So you want to mention somebody's mistake, you can either do it in a harsh way or do it in a soft way, in an appropriate way. I must hasten to add, in this world, there are some who understand only harsh language. Then we have to be there, we have to be harsh. But the problem we many times get into is where somebody is very sensitive. Even making a face at him will hurt him. There we not only make a face, we say some bad words, and as though he is deaf, we repeat the same thing. If he looks in some other direction, we again tell him, I'm telling you only. Please listen. He has listened. But as they say, rub it in. Those are all Vangmaya level wrong ways. So see chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita, 3 kinds of tapas are mentioned. There Vangmayam is mentioned. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva Vangmayam tapa uchyate. There is a shloka. Shariram tapaha, Vangmayam tapaha, then Manasam tapaha. 3 tapas are shown in chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita. The word Vangmaya, Vachika, on the level of speech. Any last question? Who wants to have the last laugh now?
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Namaste. Sushma
Namaste.
here. I just wanted to ask one thing, like if we have to do some japa or anushtana or something, do we have to get the upadesha from a guru or the mantropadesha or something? Like how does it work? How do we do that? And like how do we choose which one to chant or which one to do anushtanam?
Right. See, you and I are passing through such times. Our times are such that in this world there are formal orthodox ways also, informal liberal ways also, and our own temperament could be orthodox or liberal. So my reply is, be true to yourself. If in your heart you have a feeling that I must take a proper upadesha and go through a certain formality and then do this japa or tapa, all right, be true to yourself. And if you look around, you really have that desire, certain pious people will come your way. But if you find I'm not so orthodox, I respect people who are orthodox, but I personally am not orthodox, I am a bit liberal with respect to all these issues, then there is no need for upadesha. Even in a good book you read, someone has praised a mantra. Ashtakshari mantra can purify you, cleanse you of all sins. Someone has written beautifully. You don't even know who has written, but you like that paragraph. You read the paragraph second time. Maybe I should give the example of more than books, a WhatsApp video. The other day I watched a little video where it was so nicely put, how by doing this, something reduces, by doing this, something reduces. That is, I don't remember other things. So there are a number of things where by doing X, Y reduces. By being harsh, your friendship reduces. By telling lies, some relationship gets spoiled. Like that, everywhere something coming down. But at the end, punchline was wonderful. By repeating the name of Hari, your impurities reduce at the end. I said, wow, this is so well said. If you and I want to reduce our mala is the inner impurities, kama, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya, all those in various forms we carry them. You want to wash them off. So that's a song actually. It was very nice. Hari Nama Smarana. By singing Hari's name, you get, it's like taking bath. You have come home after roaming about in some dusty fields. All clothes and body and everywhere you touch there is dust. So go and take a nice shower, cold or hot shower, and you feel you are reborn, don't you feel? Likewise, someone, let us say, has described japa and even has praised a certain mantra. You feel, this is exactly what I feel. Then just go ahead. So both these options, this is like there are 1,000 questions these days. Can women chant Gayatri mantra? Can so and so do this? Can somebody from such and such background read the Vedas? My standard answer is, according to some orthodox outlooks, it is not permitted. But according to a liberal view, it is very much permitted. You go to some Sringeri or Kanchi, they will say only Brahmanas, they are also only men, they are also even Brahmanas who have taken what is that Yajnopavita, not before that. There is a long list of conditions. Go to someone like Vivekananda or Chinmayananda, they will say this fact that you have come to me qualifies you. You are eligible this moment. Go ahead. God bless you. They give you a mantra right away. Right? So and both these are good people. The Sringeri, Kanchi, etc. might sometimes come so rigid, Jati, Pati, etc. But if you see their life, they are also very sincere people. They do a lot of tapas, japa, tapa. They are great scholars. They don't have evil intention against anybody, but their views are very orthodox, may not go so well with modern times. So we have to live with both orthodox and unorthodox. It's something like how we have to live with vegetarians as well as non-vegetarians. Some of our friends, excellent human beings, may be meat eaters. Some of our friends are vegetarian. That should not be an issue. Good human beings are always a wealth, a treasure. Likewise, in these matters, go by your conscience, go by your inner voice, go by what will make you happy. If taking Upadesha from someone makes you more happy, you may go there. There are also gurus of many kinds are available. In various ashramas, missions, there are people who give you a mantra in a formal way also.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Swamiji. Can I ask one more question?
All right.
If time permits.
Yeah, one last question, then we conclude.
Yeah. So why is it that sometimes, if Vedanta and spirituality comes into our life, it is not that we are going in seek of that. Generally, it just comes to us when we are ready or something. So, that's what I have heard. Like, if Vedanta is or Advaita Siddhanta is coming our way, it means that the knowledge itself is coming as such. We are ready in a way, so it is coming to us. The knowledge is coming to us. Like this wonderful session. So if I have to come across this, then it's not that I am actually going and searching of something, or even if that is the case, then the intentions behind that would be like, I would be ready for that. So I am getting this knowledge in my way. Right? I don't know if I'm making my point.
No,
Clear.
I said, but it's not 100% true. Sometimes we are ready and therefore something came to us. Partially true. Why do I say it's partially true? Suppose it were 100% true that we were ready, therefore it came to us, it would stay with us. Many a time you and I get wonderful gifts in our hands. Surely we would have deserved it. But after a while it slips, or we leave it somewhere and forget and walk away in our immaturity. Therefore, if you are truly ready, 100% ready, blessings like spiritual knowledge will come to you, never to leave you. But most of us are not like that. We have sattvic moments and then some wonderful thing we receive. And next day, the same person that we are have lost that sattva, have become rajasic, and we behave rather stupidly.
Exactly, that was my question. Like,
Therefore, that inconsistency has to be handled. Have patience. You and I will have to forgive ourselves. We have to bear with ourselves. Say that, my God, I had such a nice time. I was so good. You don't have to declare it to the whole town, but in your own mind, you must acknowledge that yes, my sattvic times somehow took a back seat. Nowadays, I find myself rajasic. I find myself tamasic, and so on. We have to see the play of gunas going on in us. And then with tremendous patience and compassion towards ourselves, not to spoil ourselves, but to avoid wasting of energy. If we are not compassionate, we may then hurt ourselves in some way. We should never hurt ourselves. In that sense, I am using the word compassionate to ourselves, forgiving ourselves. Though we have fallen 25 times, again get up and say, it's okay, take it easy. Not anybody else. We are telling ourselves, take it easy and take heart again. In this way, we must step ahead. After all, our vasanas make us fall time and again. Our intentions should be protected. Yeah, so the total readiness is not easy. 1 in a million has the total readiness. You and I have come to some great gurus, like I came to Swami Chinmayananda and so on. That's because of a high level of readiness, but not 100%. If it was 100% readiness, then there was no looking back at all. You go straight up. But we go up, everybody applauds. Wow, look at him, how high he has gone. Then after some days, they find we are again by the roadside somewhere. What happened to you? Again trying to climb. This happens. Ups and downs. In Kathopanishad, there is a line. Yogo hi prabhavapyayo. Yoga, spirituality, has prabhava, rise, and apyaya, fall. Spiritual journey always has these ups and downs because of our incomplete readiness. All right, it was wonderful meeting all of you.
Thank
This
you so much,
evening in
Swamiji.
India, this morning in the
Thank you,
West.
Swamiji.
See you again. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank
Hari
you,
Om.
Swamiji. Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Namaste.
Hari Om.